Okay, so this is looking at showing that a quadratic expression, ax squared plus bx plus c, is always less than 0, always negative for all values of x. Okay, so if it's going to always be negative, then the actual resulting graph would have to be below the x-axis. So two things happen when it is below the x-axis. The a has to be less than 0 because it is like a sad face. It's the one that goes down. And it's like a negative x squared parabola. And then the other thing that would happen here, is you notice that it actually has no roots. It has no roots because it does not cut the x-axis. So it doesn't cut the x-axis. So if it has no real roots, that's like unreal roots, and for it to have unreal roots, the discriminant would be negative, because you can't find the square root of a negative when you've got the quadratic formula. The discriminant is the number underneath the square root. So that means that this just here, okay, you can't find the square root of it, so that means that would be negative. So we call this, this has been called positive definite, and for it to happen there's two things. The discriminant must be less than 0 and a must be less than 0. So you have unreal roots, and also it is like a sad face parabola. Okay, so for this to happen, those two conditions have to happen. So let's look at an example. Let's go for minus 2x, let's just do minus x squared. Minus x squared plus 4x. Okay, so if we look at this and we look at a is the number that is in front of the x, so that's minus 1, that's less than 0. So our two conditions to show that it's always negative is the a has to be less than 0 and the discriminant has to be less than 0. So the a is definitely less than 0, so that box is ticked. The discriminant, which is b squared minus 4ac, we need to now show that that is also negative. And that would be negative if, basically if it has unreal roots. So that's the discriminant, because we're after this situation. So the b is equal to minus 1. The a is equal to minus 1. The b is the number in front of the x, which is the 4, and the c is the minus 12. So the discriminant is 4 squared minus 4 times minus 1 times minus 12, which is 16 minus 48, which is going to be, 48 minus 16 is 2, 3. So minus 32, which is indeed less than 0. So therefore it has unreal roots and it is negative. So you just go, therefore, just concluding, discriminant is less than 0 and a is less than 0. Therefore no real roots. So it's actually basically, it is below the x-axis. So it is below the x-axis. So that means all the y values of this expression, no matter what x value you put in there, will always be negative.